So today on the podcast, we're going to answer 3 questions. How do we discover our purpose? Why should we discover our purpose? And what stops us from living out our purpose? Okay, I'm not a really big gamer. I'm not a person that would play a lot of video games. In fact, on my PlayStation, and I have the newest one out. What is that, the PlayStation 4? Anyway, on that, I have one video game that I play year after year. And that video game is Madden. And so every year I get the newest Madden the day it comes out, and I put it in and I play season after season. For those of you who are familiar with the different things you can do on Madden, I first play season with my beloved Raiders. And then after that, I do a kind of like a fantasy draft and build my own team. And then after that, I kind of mix it around and pick different teams that I want to play. And so all that is to say that I am constantly playing Madden because of one thing. I love to make a team and to see the team improve over time. I love to draft players and see these players grow and get better and better over time. I like the strategy of building the teams, the strategy of, do I trade draft picks for the next season? And I'll play an entire season, and one of the things also I get teased about is I play the preseason. And my friends were like, who plays the preseason in Madden? Just skip it. Just simulate. But the reason why I do that is because I want to see the people on the bench. They're my future players. When I trade my starting running back, I want to see who the backup is and see who they are. When I trade my starting tight end, I want to see who they are. So all of that is a foreshadowing of what I want to talk about today on this edition of the Rodney O Podcast, and that is to discover your purpose. And I'll talk about what Madden has to do with that when we continue on the Rodney O Podcast. Welcome to the Rodney O Podcast. Today, I hope you realize that you have the ability to make a difference. Find out how on the Rodney O Podcast.
Hey, this is Chance. My IG tag is @Chance_AK_Billups. I've overcome addiction and changed my life. However, 2 things I'll never change is my love for God and the Rodney O Podcast, where you can hear stories like mine and other relevant topics. Stay tuned. This is the Rodney O Podcast.
Okay, like I said, yes, today I want to talk about the importance of discovering your purpose. And so the reason I do that is because I think we need to understand what makes us tick, what makes us go, what gets us up in the morning, what gets us excited, what makes us have that drive. It's why you do what you do. And so I know a lot of people are in the same boat as this. A lot of people are not sure what they want to do in life. You ask them what they want to do for a career, and they're not sure. They may be in a career. They may be still in school, finishing school. And you say, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? And some may have ideas. Some will have dreams. And some will be like, I am not sure. Because then you go to the next question and say, well, what do you like to do? What are some of the things that you like? And usually they are not sure either. Now, there are some out there who know they want to be a doctor, lawyer, engineer, or something specific. I mean, I was one that wanted to be an engineer, and I was sure that I wanted to do that. And so this is kind of trying to kind of a way of saying, and my way of trying to help people discover their purpose, which will help them decide what they want to do in the future. And so a little disclaimer about this podcast. If you're lazy, this pod isn't for you. I don't think you're ready yet. And what I mean by that is if you're, just kind of sitting back and your dream is just to do nothing, then maybe you should wait a little bit before you listen to this podcast. Because I believe everybody should have a plan. And it's okay if, that plan is the first step in discovering your purpose, and the rest is blank. But at least have that first step, have that plan of what you want to do first. And so when we talk about this, and when we talk about discovering your purpose, we first have to look at what's stopping us. What's stopping us from discovering our purpose? Things like Netflix, maybe Fortnite, maybe other things that waste our time, and I want to say these things are okay. I'm not dogging these things, but when it consumes all of your time without it being applied to your future, it's a waste. Like if it's something that has to do with your future, then it's not. And there's no shame in resting. Like I said in my intro, I play Madden. And so there is time for relaxing, a time for sitting back. But if that's all you want to do, then this pod is not for you. And also it's stopping you from discovering your purpose. In the movies that I love, it's an older movie. Gosh, it seems like it just came out, but no, it's old. It's The Matrix. And in The Matrix, there's this park scene where they talk about purpose, right? And it talks about purpose, and it talks about what drives us and what makes us, and that's what our purpose does for us.
We're here because we're not free. There's no escaping reason, no denying purpose. Because as we both know, without purpose, we would not exist.
It is purpose that created us. Purpose that connects us. Purpose that pulls us, that guides, that drives us. It is purpose that defines.
And so I discovered, for me, and what drives me is positivity, encouragement, and motivating other people. My purpose is to help other people. And I talked about Madden in the beginning. And the reason why I talked about Madden and why I like it so much is I like to see the improvement in something, whether it be a team, a business, people, whatever it may be. I love to see improvement. And so that's why Madden works so much for me and why I can play season after season and year after year, because of the possibilities of building a team and seeing them grow. And when I get tired of that and when I get bored of the team that I have, or I reach a salary cap and I can't sign any new players, I go and I do it all over again. This is what I strive for. And spiritually as well, seeing people grow spiritually is also what I do. And this is what charges me and what gets me going. And so you may ask, what did you do to discover this? How did you discover this love that you have to see improvement? And so it goes way back to my first job. And so my first job was fast food experience. I won't say which fast food place, but I went there. And I remember when I first started there, I had a rough time getting started. I had a rough time of getting used to a sense of urgency and speed. It's all about speed and sense of urgency, especially that sense of urgency, just knowing you have to hustle, right? And so I was just a regular employee. And soon as I got the hang of it, I had these dreams of just becoming more than that. And so fast food dreams, right? But anyway, again, that whole drive about being improving. And so I went to improve, and I went from a regular employee to a shift manager, meaning you just take one shift and you lead and manage that shift. At the time, I was 17, and I was usually doing a closing shift. I was too young. Wasn't supposed to do it, but the owner, and then later on the franchise, because he sold it, didn't care. My 18th birthday was coming up pretty soon anyway, within like maybe 2 or 3 months. So they just let me do it. But I was doing that. And then eventually that turned into an assistant, which I hated, by the way. There's reasons for that. You get all the blame and not the credit. But then I was striving to be a store general manager, and I did. And I had multiple stores where I was running multiple stores at the same time. And then from there, my goals were to go to a district manager, to where I would have a large area. And then from there, I would go into a regional, which would be a few states. And so as I was going towards this, and as I was driving towards this, I realized that sometimes life gives you detours. Sometimes life says, you know what, let's take a right-hand turn. And so I just say that because as you discover your purpose and make a plan, you may have detours along the way. And so I did. And I got called into helping people spiritually, called by God. That's another podcast for a different day, because not everybody may believe in this higher power called God. But anyway, that's a life choice I decided to go into. And I did that. And then, as I did that for years, it became clear to me, very clear for me, after several jobs and in this new technological age, that my reach could be so great because of technology. And so I became very clear as to what I was being called to do and what I am put on this planet to do. So some advice. Some of you guys may be saying like, well, that's good for you, but what should I do? And I just say, do what I did. And that's the fact of just doing something, do something that is going to drive you, and do something that is going to start your plan. Like I said, you may take a detour. You may be sidetracked. I changed majors multiple times. There's different things that can happen to you, but do something. But I think one of the biggest barriers that stops us from doing something, and one of the biggest things that slows us down, is that we listen to negativity. We listen to the people who say you can't do it. We listen to the people who say that it's not going to work. We listen to the people that say you're wasting your time. We listen to the people who say, no, you should be doing it this way instead of that way. And that's where we care too much about what other people think. Now, if they're giving helpful advice and saying, you should do something because you're lazy and you're not listening to that, well, that's your own path. That's your own choice. But I think that's positive as far as you're trying to give you some positivity. And any kind of advice, you can just take it with a grain of salt. But don't listen to the negativity. Don't care what people think. And I think that slows us down too much. Because here's the whole thing. Here's the big golden nugget here for this podcast. We all have the ability to make a difference in our lives and other people's lives. Let me say that one more time. We all have the ability to make a difference in our lives and other people's lives. So what do you do about that? Well, first, like I said, find out what drives you. Do some soul searching. Search yourself and say, what really gets me going? What really drives me? It may take a while to discover that, but I think that's an important first step. And it took me a while to kind of see what drives me. I didn't really think about it at the time, but if I would have gone back and looked and said, why am I excited about certain things? Well, the advancement and the improvement, and then the improvement of other people. And I say, okay, that's what drives me. The next step is to erase the negativity. Now, have patience and work on you so that you can do what you need to do. And just negativity, erase it. But just understand, things take a while. Things may take a lot of patience. It may take a year from you to go from step 1 to step 2. But as long as you enjoy it and it's what drives you, you can keep on going and keep on working towards that end goal. Now, some people may have to do things like take a second job or work while they're working on their goal and they're working on their next steps, but that's okay, because what you want to do is you want to just do what you need to do now so that you don't have to do what you don't want to do later, right? Do what you need to do now so you don't have to do what you don't want to do later. And then last, execute. And what I mean by that is, get past the planning stage, get past the stage of, one day I want to go ahead and start this, or one day I'm going to have this YouTube channel, or one day I'll go out and I'll start writing blogs. No, execute, do it now. You can always adjust, get your content out there, find out what drives you and start working on that right now. So with that, I hope that helps you guys. Just a quick little talk about finding out what your purpose is. The reason why you discover your purpose is so that you can go out and you can influence other people, and that you can live a life that is fulfilled, and you have the ability to make a difference, not only in your life, but other people's lives. Thank you for joining the Rodney O Podcast, and I will see you in the next one.